My screen is visible, right? Hello? All right. Yeah, thanks. Looks like Tuesday is not the day for people to attend a tutorial. I think I'll wait for another 5 minutes. So, is everyone enjoying the course so far? I think we're in week 3 already.
Yeah, yeah, it's very interesting.
All right.
But a few of the resource material, no,
Mm-hmm.
the links which you are given, a few of it is not accessible. Either you need to have a library card or something. But otherwise, the rest of the things are all smooth and it's nice.
I see, I see. That's interesting. Maybe Lakshmi, you could post it on the discussion forum as to the links that are not working. Maybe just put those links on it, or have you already done it?
Uh, no, no, actually, I'm accessing everything through my phone, so I'm finding it cumbersome to access discussion forum. But otherwise, those papers, the research papers which they share,
Right.
quite one or two of it from JSTU or some research website, I guess.
Okay.
From those papers which belong to that, they need library card or something or
I
some
see.
kind of institution affiliation.
I see.
Otherwise, the rest of it I can access,
It's
and
accessible.
it was very interesting to read.
All right. Sure. I mean, we'll try and if you could maybe somehow try and post it on the discussion forum, then we'll try and get access to you to those papers
Yeah,
because,
sure,
yeah,
sure,
even I'm
sure, ma'am. I
questioning.
will try. Ma'am, past live sessions, I
Mhm.
couldn't participate
Okay.
because of family issues.
Okay.
So, are they available anywhere? Like,
Yeah,
is
all
were they
the
recorded the past? Ma'am, for the guest lectures.
yes, all the actually guest lectures
Yeah,
are
guest lecture.
recorded. I'll just let me just make a note of it. It as
Okay.
far as I remember, it is being uploaded by NPTEL directly.
So can we get to listen to those sessions? Like,
Which session?
yeah, it is recorded. It seems. Okay.
Yeah, yeah,
No,
it
ma'am.
is.
Specialist or okay.
Yeah, all sessions are recorded. Everything is recorded. All the faculty sessions as well as the guest sessions are
Yeah.
recorded, including the tutorials. So,
Okay.
if I'm not mistaken, the guest lecturers and the faculty sessions are recorded by NPTEL, and that will be on the NPTEL forum. And the tutorial sessions that
Okay.
happen every week, Jobin, Verkis, and me, two of us, we take these on Tuesday and Friday. Those will be uploaded on our personal YouTube channels, and we will share with you a sheet which has a link to the presentation as well as the YouTube channel. So you can go through whatever we cover in both the sessions.
Thanks a lot.
Yeah,
Because most of the time I'm not able to make it.
sure,
Yeah,
no problem.
yeah.
Yeah,
Most of the time I'm not able to make it to the live sessions because of other engagements and busy life.
no problem, no
So,
problem. Yeah,
thank you.
yeah, everything is actually recorded, and yes, I do understand we have a lot of sessions, so yeah, it can get a bit confusing as well. All right, so I think we are 16 people. I think we can start and see if later on people would want to join. This is a 2 hour session. I'm not sure how fast or how slow we will go. I have prepared I think what are adequate number of questions. So we'll go through them. So let me introduce myself first. My name is Chiti Arvind, and I am a PhD student at ISA Tirupati. I'm actually a PhD student with Dr. V. Robin, and I work on bird song. So yeah, we can probably talk about it more during the week where we will be covering bioacoustics. So I'm sure all of you have gone through the lectures for week one, which was on taxonomy, phylogenetics, and why, what is the importance of studying birds. So without any further delay, let's just go into. So I have only one screen right now. I'll be switching between the two. Please feel free to unmute yourself or use the chat box. I'm unable to hear some people as well clearly, but yeah. Okay, so I'm going to read out the questions as well as the options. Some of them are MCQs and some of them will be discussion based. Uh, yeah, Lakshmi, I think your voice is breaking a little bit. I'm not sure if it's my internet or your internet, but sure, let's see how it goes.
Yeah.
Okay,
Okay.
so the first question is the cursorial hypothesis suggests that birds evolved from which group of dinosaurs? And these are option one is theropods, option two is megapods, option three is pterosaurs, and option D is sauropods. Okay, we have
Theropods.
okay A coming in. Yeah. Okay, everyone for A. All right. Yes, the answer is A, theropods. Can anybody tell me what are the other groups? Does anyone know what a megapod is? Has anyone heard of megapods? You can say yes or no as well.
It's a
No.
kind of
Okay.
bird.
Yes, Govind?
I said it was a kind of bird.
It was a kind of bird, or is it a kind of bird?
Is
Is.
is a kind of bird.
Right. Any more details?
Hopefully it stays that way.
Yes.
Uh, yeah, it's found in. I think it's found somewhere in Indonesia, and it's known for laying its eggs near volcanic areas to help in incubation.
Volcanic areas. I'm actually not sure of.
Nicobar, Andaman Nicobar, megapods are found. They are birds.
Yes.
Yeah, megapods are a group of birds which are found in Andaman Nicobar Island,
Yeah, they're
and
actually. Yes.
they are endemic to them.
So yes, there is an endemic Nicobar Andaman and an endemic megapod there, but there are yes several other megapods also found in Australasia as well. Yes, as Ramaswamy mentioned, they do their incubation by collecting rotting material that increases the heat and assists in chicks to hatch. They are also birds with big feet, as Shravan mentions. They are like peacocks, can't fly high. Yes, I don't think they have very great flight ability, but they are quite big and very heavy birds. Yeah. Okay, so anybody wants to mention anything about pterosaurs? What are pterosaurs? They are not dinosaurs. Okay, then what are they? Okay, dinosaurs capable of flight, sister group. Flying reptiles. Yeah, they're flying reptiles. Yeah. Right. Sauropods are common ancestors for reptiles and birds. Okay. Yes, they are largest flying organisms, as Govind mentions. And very often they are confused to be like ancestors of birds, but they actually are not. Yes, and sauropods, I think somebody's already mentioned, common ancestors for reptiles and birds. And some of the largest dinosaurs fall in the sauropod category. All right, so I'm going to go to the next question. Oops, I need to switch tabs. Okay, so list out some everyday engineering marvels inspired from these birds. So, can someone, oops, has it not loaded? Yikes. Has the screen loaded? Can you see a bird?
We could see a kingfisher
Oh,
briefly
okay.
and then we couldn't see.
Do you see it? Do you see the kingfisher now? Oh, it came and
No.
went. Yikes. I don't know what is happening. Is it there now? All right. Yes. So tell me, what is the inspiration behind? Yeah, Ramaswamy has very swiftly summarized Kingfisher
Uh,
bullet train nose.
bullet
Yeah.
train. Yeah, bullet train.
Mm-hmm.
Bullet train nose was designed according to Kingfisher's beak,
Right.
which was aerodynamically perfect and reduced the noise generated by the train.
Yeah.
Apart from that, I'm not able to recollect any other thing, ma'am. Sorry.
Yeah. Yeah. I think Lakshmi, you have summarized it entirely. Okay. So we'll move on to the next bird. What about this bird?
Shock absorber,
Mm-hmm.
as it is a woodpecker, we were like uh, we were inspired for the shock absorbing stuff,
Right.
maybe
Yep.
because the way they peck on they peck on the wood, the amount of the pressure which falls on their cranium, we could somehow use it for like shock absorbing technique in our machineries, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah. That's absolutely correct. Yeah. So the
I know.
woodpecker. Yeah. Yeah. Govind. Go ahead.
It also this ability of the woodpecker also helped inspire greater safety measures in places like cars and cars and whatnot to increase safety in case of
Yeah. Yeah. So they have this bone known as the
accident.
HYOID. I don't know how to pronounce it. The hyoid bone, and that absorbs a lot of the shock that is generated by this bird that constantly pecks onto wood. And it's like really amazing that their brains don't get damaged because of this. But yes, it has inspired several industries, right from like as you mentioned, for safety purposes in cars, as well as even sports gear to absorb shock, and even electronic equipment for sensitive parts that are prone to um, a lot of disturbances and shocks due to human usage. Yeah. Okay. And what about this bird?
Soundproofing, uh, echolocation, and the way they fly, they don't, they fly very silently. They hardly make any sound.
Mhm.
So stealth mode aircrafts, fighting crafts, which need to be under the radar.
Right.
Those were inspired by the way owls were moving.
Right. Yeah. Has anybody actually seen an owl fly while birding?
Yes, I have, ma'am.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have.
Yeah. So usually you can't really. Yeah. Okay. Someone else also has. Yeah. That they're really cool, right? Because you don't really see the bird. Um, if it's not in your line of vision, you don't see it. Sometimes if it's daylight, you can just see a shadow that appears on the floor, and then when you look up, it's an owl. Shravan says gliding mechanism. All right, yeah. So yes, there are several things inspired, in fact, by owls, and the most common one is the silent flight, and which has resulted in fact, a lot of like aircrafts um, implementing such technology that prevents noise during takeoff and landing. So a lot of materials have been generated. So what is the overarching term that is used for things that is inspired by birds or any natural organism? Biomimicry. Yeah, that's right. So we are trying to mimic things from the environment to facilitate or help us improve our day-to-day lifestyle. Yeah. In fact, I think there is a biomimicry conference that happens in India. I'm not sure where and when, but if anybody is interested at the intersection of biology and engineering, or even like the biology and industry side, I think it would be great if you could just attend these conferences, or if there are any online talks, please do feel free to attend these as well, because yeah, you'll find a lot of interesting things out there, not only birds but everything else. All right, let's move to the next question. Okay, so here I have just taken these details from Wikipedia. So, given the information of the two species, comment on their conservation status. So, on
The
the,
first one is critically endangered.
yeah,
The first one is critically endangered. Jordan's cursor is almost extinct now,
yeah,
latest. And the second one, the purple rum sunbird, is
mhm,
least concerned because it's found in almost the entire area of its habitat, and it's not. Its population is not threatened or something. It's steady and in the race, so it is least concern. But
okay,
whereas Jordan cursor, the last known of it was in the, I guess, in 2020, I guess. So it's like it's almost extinct, very critically endangered.
okay. Okay, yeah. Thanks, Lakshmi, for the head start on the information. Yeah, you're right in several of the things except one point. I would mention that later. Would anyone like to add on to what Lakshmi has already mentioned? Anything about these two birds?
Well, the Jordan's cursor is has dangerous, whereas sunbird is widely dispersed and is the reason it's least concerned.
Right. Right, so it's distribution, right? So the purple rim sunbird is present literally, I think, over, let's say, about 65% of the country. It's present everywhere. And a lot of records are there for this bird on eBird, as well as any other bird data logging platform. Whereas the Jordan's courser is found in like a really small area. I do not know, but the courser is a specialist because of its restricted habitat range. All right, Aditi. So let's talk about the Jordan's courser. So the Jordan's courser is a, yes, as you can see, it's a critically endangered bird. We know very little about the life history traits of the species, because it was first discovered in the 1900s, and then for about 80 years or 100 years it wasn't seen till it was rediscovered by Dr. Bharat Bhushan in the late 1900s. So it was almost like 100 years before it was seen again. And then Dr. Bharat Bhushan was a part of the Bombay Natural History Society, and he worked for several years there trying to monitor the Jordan's courser. And then Dr. P. Jagannathan took over and was involved in detection of the Jordan's courser through various different methods. So this bird has been concentrated in an area known as Kadapa, which is in Andhra Pradesh. It's a very hot and dry region, and it prefers an open scrubland type habitat. Does this mean that it has a very special requirement in habitat, localized distribution, and hence less adaptable, susceptible to extinction? Okay, so we know very little about any of the life history traits of the Jordan scozer. Does anyone know why? A, yes, it's
Ma'am, can you repeat the question, ma'am? I'm sorry, I couldn't get it.
yeah. So
Can you just repeat it?
yeah, do we know why? So we know very less about the life history traits about the Jordan scozer. Can someone tell us why? So there are a lot of questions regarding like whether it's a specialist or a generalist or something.
Is it because?
Just
Is it because? Sorry, Lakshmi,
that
continue.
it might be specialist, ma'am.
Yeah, so we don't actually know whether it's a specialist or not. Yeah, Sachin, please go ahead.
Oh, no, no, you continue, you continue.
No, I was thinking whether it was a. I mean, I haven't explored the clade and the other things, but whether is it related to the the evolution of this bird from other species, which is altogether different.
That's an interesting aspect you've actually brought up because the Jordan scozer is most related to other Rhinopterus species. There are, I think, 4 or 5 Rhinopterus species, and the rest of them are in Africa. And there's only one in India, which is
Yeah.
the Jordan scozer. So yes, that is some interesting taxonomic information. I have a bunch of answers in the chat saying that it is nocturnal. Yes, you are correct. They are shy, difficult to observe, correct. Very rarely observed, correct. Shy, detection less, limited range, nocturnal. Yes. So imagine like it's range restricted. It's found in a very small area, and still people can't find it. So there have been various different detection methods for the Jordan scozer. The first way is to actually go on foot and do point counts and try and look for the bird. Sometimes successful, sometimes not successful because you are also limited to doing surveys in the night. Then there were other methods used like tracking strips. So what Dr. P. Jagannathan did is he laid sand strips in patches in Sri Lanka Maleshwara Wildlife Sanctuary, which is where the Jordan's gozer is found, and they actually looked for footprints of any bird that walks through that patch. And the Jordan's gozer's footprint is a little bit unique. They have I think specimens of the Jordan's gozer in museums in the UK. So they took measurements and they tried to relate it to the bird, but it can be mistaken for other birds like sand grouse and all that. 1 second. Yeah, let me just connect, finish this. So then another detection method is camera traps, right? That's a sure shot way of finding anything. If a bird walks through 2 camera traps that are placed, it's going to trigger it and click a photo like the one that you see on the left. But the thing about camera traps is you can't cover a large area. So what we did is our lab at ISA Tirupati, we decided to use acoustics, and we recently came up with a paper that describes a methodology using automated recording units. We placed about 17 of them in Lankamala Wildlife Sanctuary and did a complete nocturnal monitoring from dusk to dawn, and we collected over 8 TB of data, which is about 23,000 hours of data, and manually screened them along with some recognizers. And funnily, we didn't find any hit for the Jordan's Kozo. But given this information, can we say that it's not there? Can we say that it's there? It's still a mystery. So we need to expand our studies to little further areas as well and develop better classifiers. Before declaring that a bird is extinct or not, there is a systematic research that needs to be done for a certain number of years. And this is still in process. So if anyone wants to look for the Jordan Scoza, we have a call clip of it. The first call was a bunch of calls are on Zenocanto as well as I think Macaulay Library. So you can hear it sounds very similar to maybe a shikara or a common hawk cuckoo. But yeah, that's interesting. So in an earlier discussion, it was indicated that Jordan's Kosa was endemic to South Andhra region, but I didn't find it in the endemic list on BNHS. Is there any endemic list? I'm not sure. Actually, you should be able to find this in the state of Indian birds, SOIB. I think it's freely available online, but if you don't find it, just post this on the discussion forum and one of us will send you the link. State of Indian birds. You should be able to access it there. Yeah. All right, Sachin. Okay, so yes, as we see, the Jordan's Kosa is really range restricted. It is critically endangered. And also, as I think Lakshmi mentioned, it was last seen in 2020, but no, it was actually last seen in 2012. So it's been over, yeah, several, like a decade now since the bird hasn't been detected. But we never know, most of the studies are focused around Kadapa. But if you expand your search, there are several other suitable habitats that are nearby, which might hold the bird. Yeah. Right. I'm going to go to the next question.
What's the total number of sightings that has happened for Jaden's Courser?
Total number of sightings. That's a great question. I am not exactly sure, but I think on camera trap it has been caught thrice. And also on the Lakshmi, your mic is so muted.
Ma'am, actually, I just wanted to know.
Yeah, just hang on. Let me just answer Sachin. Yeah. And there have been direct sightings by some old trappers who used to work with Dr. Bharat Bhushan. Yeah. Yeah, Lakshmi.
I just wanted to know, can this have that restriction?
Your voice is breaking, sorry. It's not really clear.
And this also be due to can it be due to what to say, reproduction failure, like nearly endangered or something?
Yeah. Is my audio bad or is Lakshmi's audio bad?
It's Lakshmi's order.
All right. Okay. All. Amarnath is like all. Yeah, Lakshmi. I think maybe just use the chat box. It seems to be a lot of disturbance. But from what I heard, you were talking about the success rate or reproduction success. We have actually no idea about the breeding biology of this bird. So there have been eggs that have been discovered and linked to the Jordan's Kosa, but nobody has actually seen a bird sitting on an egg and incubating it. So, as I mentioned earlier, we know very less about the bird's habits. Yeah, actually, I can't keep my video off because these are NPTEL requirements. Is my audio not clear to everyone, or is it just for you?
Audio is clear to me at least.
Yeah, okay, that helps. Thanks, Sachin.
You're clear.
All right. Thanks.
It's very clear.
Cool, thanks. Yeah. So, where was I? Yeah, I was talking something about.
The incubation
Yeah, so yes,
and
the breeding biology.
sightings.
Yeah, correct. Yeah, so we don't have any information regarding the breeding biology or life history traits of this bird. So it's very difficult to study a bird or detect a bird where we have very less information already about. We don't know where it sits. We know it sits or it prefers some kinds of trees, but these are not studied over several years and months because we have had such a small sample size, right? So when you have a really small sample size, you cannot jump into any conclusion. So yeah, it's quite a big black box. All right, I'm going to go to the next question. Does someone else have a question? Yeah.
Yes, sir, can I ask a question, please, ma'am?
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
I'm audible. Yeah. Does the gene mapping, if the genotype of the bird could be found by choosing the samples are taken, and would that help in studying the behavior, comparing it with other bird species which have similar behavior or something?
I think I missed the first part of your question. Sorry.
Yeah, I was asking if the genotype determined, like in case of the Jaden schools, since it's not possible to observe it in the wild and
Yeah.
to learn its behavior. If the gene mapping of the bird is done, any samples are obtained,
Oh my God.
then
Let me.
is it possible to?
Sorry, I can't. Can you type, please?
Wait, I'll try. Yeah. I guess you can take the next question, ma'am. I'll
Yeah,
type in
yeah,
the
yeah.
mic.
Just type it.
I'm
Sure. I'm really sorry. I'm
yeah.
getting like
Sure.
bits and
Thanks, ma'am. Thanks.
pieces.
I'll type.
Yeah, yeah. Just type it out. Okay, I'll just go to the next question. Um. So, okay. So, what is meant by integrative taxonomy, and why is it important?
Including morphological, biological, and phylogenetical studies to classify organisms. It's called integrative taxonomy, and it is important maybe to properly classify and reclassify those which were classified wrongly into different clades. So that when we take phenotypical studies and phylogenetical studies in detail, like
Mm-hmm.
with the help of DNA and other tools, we might get to know much more uh, proper and correct answers to the affiliation of a species to a particular family or taxa or something.
Right. Yeah. So, yeah, you've gotten the gist of it. So, what used to be the first earliest means to classify organisms?
Biological external appearances.
Right. Yeah. So,
Morphological characteristics.
yeah, correct. Yes, morphology. Yeah, that used to be the first thing, right? If it looks similar, it sits together in the same family. So, yeah, this paper, phylogenetic and molecular classification. Yes, correct. So molecular classification came about later after the morphology classification, and people, with the advent of genetic tools and molecular tools, people started understanding what is more related to each other. And later on, they also started incorporating several other aspects of plumage and color and songs, you know. So, integrative taxonomy includes genetic, okay, the ecology, geometric morphometrics, genetic data, morphology, as well as distribution, right? So, we're going to cover a few examples in the coming slides. Let me just head to those. Okay, so before that, another question. The order of birds that comprise parrots are called galliforms, psittaciforms, passeriforms, or apodiforms. You can use the chat to, yeah, put in your.
B. Psittaciform. B.
Okay,
Psittaciforms.
right. Okay, everyone's for B. Yeah. Okay, cool. Can someone tell me what are galliforms?
Uh, they are chickens and no fowls, chickens and fowls.
Game birds. Yeah. All right. Yeah. Cool. Uh, peafowl. Yeah. Sure. Psittaciforms, yes, are parrots and parakeets. What about passeriforms?
They have
Yes, which can hold and
yeah,
perch.
they can they can hinge a kind of thing. If you keep a finger in it, it will clutch automatically the toes. That mechanism, which those birds which contain that mechanism is called passeriforms.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Thanks, Lakshmi. Anyone more? Anyone wants to add on to what Lakshmi has mentioned?
Passeriforms are also called songbirds.
Mm-hmm. And And why are they called songbirds? Do you know what are the classifications of passeriforms in songbirds? So Lakshmi mentioned that they
So
learn songs, right? But do all of them learn songs?
They, they have two voice boxes which allows them to control their voice.
Mm-hmm.
Syrinx, they have syrinx. And they have two note, there are two distinction in their calls, songs and calls.
Mm-hmm.
So that
Tricky.
distinction is there.
Yeah, tricky. Yeah. Songs and calls, debatable across species.
I suppose that holds true even in I suppose that holds true even in parrots, right? That they have calls and songs,
Which one for parakeets?
isn't it?
Yeah, so yes, you are right. There are other taxa of birds that also sing, which are not passeriforms. They are known as the psittaciforms also sing, as well as the hummingbirds. So they are all capable of vocal learning. So uh, parrots, hummingbirds, and one group of passeriforms are known as vocal learners. Does anyone know what you call this one group of vocal learners?
I'm sorry, could you repeat this part? I didn't quite clearly hear it.
Right. So you have passeriforms. Passeriforms are songbirds, but Lakshmi had mentioned that they are all vocal learners, but not all of them are vocal learners. There's only one group that learns songs, and they have a particular name. Would any of you know what that is called? It's probably going to be covered in the next lectures, but yeah, in case anyone knows.
In passeriforms, right?
In passeriforms, yeah. Oscene, yeah, I got an answer from Aditi. Yeah, so they are Oscenes. So you have two groups, Oscenes and sub-Oscenes. Oscenes are song learners, whereas sub-Oscenes are said to have a genetic underpinning to their songs. So I'm not going to reveal much information about this because it's going to be covered, but yeah. Okay, so what about apodiforms? What falls in apodiforms?
These are the birds without feet. The
Without
birds
feet?
without feet.
No, they have feet.
I mean, they don't have big feet.
Yes,
Like they'll be having scales.
right. Yes, Deepthi, you're right.
Yeah, and these uh, yeah, these are the birds which has two types of feathers. I heard
Mm-hmm.
one are long and one are short.
Okay,
Right?
right.
I know that. Only this I know. That's it.
All right. Yeah,
Are
that.
they aerial?
Yes,
Aerial
well,
birds?
yes, they all fly pretty well. You have, I think I've got some answers. Swifts, hummingbird. I saw
I
somewhere
think
where it went. Yes, tree swifts, hummingbirds, swifts, yes. They can't really perch. You usually just see them sitting somewhere and rapidly flying. So at least swifts, which you can, hummingbirds are not present in India, but swifts or tree swifts, if you have seen, they will be circling and then suddenly they'll like go onto their nest and sit there. You also do see them sitting on wires, but yeah, there's some great balancing act that they do up there to sit on the wires. But yeah,
ma'am, the family performs, does it participate? I mean, does it display torpor in cases when they have to conserve
oh,
energy?
I am not really sure if Swifts display topper or not, but that's probably an interesting question for the discussion forum. And maybe Anusha, who did a session on topper in hummingbirds, she might be able to answer that. But I'm going to note it down.
Yes, ma'am.
Torpor. What is the difference between perching and sitting? Yeah, well, they use their legs for perching, and it's I think for birds it's just a term where they have like an opposable claw that helps them grasp like this. While sitting is just they have all their feet pointing forward, so they sit. Yeah,
Ma'am, can I add something, ma'am, to it?
sure, please.
Ma'am, yeah, those which perch, no, they have a locking mechanism in their digits in the no feet,
Okay.
which locks them so that locks around the perch so that they can sleep while perched.
Right.
But those birds which are sitting, they are just like humans. They keep their feet flat and they rest on their knees. They just fold their knees and sit down or something like that.
Right.
So that's news, and they can't sleep while they sit. Okay. While even those birds which roost, they have to have this. Either they should have this locking mechanism so that they don't fall off while they sleep, or they have to be a better balance in the body, and they need to have a better perching area or roosting area. So that's the difference between sitting and perching, which I think I read somewhere in some forum.
Oh, all right. Okay. So this has already been asked.
That's interesting, Lakshmi. The A typical question that came to my mind just now is I have been hearing this that most of the birds actually just sleep while they are sitting or standing, right, or perching maybe. So do actually, I mean, with your explanation, it seemed to be that the sitting birds may not be able to sleep while sitting. So
No,
how do
no.
they sleep actually?
I'm sorry. I missed out on one point. I was
Okay.
meaning on the perching birds.
Uh,
Specifically those which are perches on the some kind of a perch like in the trees or something like passerines. I'm saying, yeah, there are ducks, there are flamingos, and there are all the herons. Some they sleep in one leg or something, but they are on the firm land. But these birds which roost in the canopies of trees, they need proper balance, and those passerines the passerines have the highest mechanism I have read, where they can lock their hind digit, the digit which is in the behind, they get locked so that they won't fall off. But that mechanism is missing in most of the other birds. That's why they either have to find a thick branch or thick node or something to sit on, lean on, or they have to have a firmer ground. Maybe the land or something.
I see.
But perching birds, they are so
Okay.
light and they are so yeah.
That is quite true. Actually, even in my experience, I've seen a robin, a rental magpie robin that is sitting on a string. I mean, that sits on a string in our house every night,
Right.
which is very, very soft and flexible. But it always manages to be like very calm and cool and sleep.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, it's good to make like daily observations of birds to see whether they are perching or sleeping or sitting. Yeah, I think most of the science has been done by just observational and noting natural history notes. And yeah, thanks Lakshmi for the in-depth information regarding perching and sitting as well. All right, I'm going to move.
Excuse me.
Yeah,
Uh, uh, you mentioned oscine birds as birds who are capable of vocal mimicry, as in
vocal
learning from their
learning.
environment, right?
Yeah, vocal learning. Yeah.
Yeah, and learning and mimicking sounds from their environment, isn't that right?
Uh, well, a mimic is something different. Let's not get into details of that because a lot of people are going to cover that. You're going to have Dr.
Uh,
Samira
um,
Agnihotri doing a session on mimicry, as well as I think Dr. Anand, Dr. Manjari, and Dr. Robin covering it. So I'm not going to give you
right.
any. Yeah.
Well, my question was, does the lyrebird come under this group, an
Yeah.
oscine?
Yes, of course. I mean that they are like huge mimics, right? I think everyone has seen David Attenborough's video with the lyrebird, uh, his video covering the lyrebird, as well as I think lyrebird making noises of chainsaws and children and everything. So yeah, okay. So we're going to move on. Okay. So the International Union for Conservation of Nature and Natural Resources, the IUCN, follows bird names based on which nomenclature? Clements, BirdLife International, International Ornithological Community, or Howard and Moore?
B. B. BirdLife International.
Okay, B.
Because IUCN was established by UK people, and UK people follow BirdLife International stuff.
Right.
So it turned out that they follow that only.
Right. Okay. Yeah, everyone's for B. Yeah. So there are several other classification or naming um, organizations which are followed by different people all over the world. And it kind of gets confusing at some point of time when you are trying to do a study across several different taxa that are distributed all over the world, but you have multiple different names, right? So usually in most of the papers they follow a particular nomenclature scheme, and they mentioned the organization by which they are following the nomenclature scheme, so that if someone wants to use data from a particular paper, they can and they are using another nomenclature method, they can go back, cross validate, check the names, and find out details of the species. Yeah, so it's very important to also mention, and certain journals also follow certain nomenclature schemes. Yeah.
Sometimes during birdwatching, I come across some names being changed. So does it actually indicate the names coming from IUCN, CNN, or something, some other nomenclature? Because, for example, Great Tate was renamed as Cinerus Tate or something like that.
Oh, that is like another
I
species.
haven't
So great tit is like in the northern Himalayas, and then the cinereous tit is another species. So
in
that
the.
is
Oh, okay.
split of species
Okay.
because of molecular taxonomy. So it is not name change, but certain species, as you correctly mentioned, yes, they do undergo name changes, especially genus changes. This is with the advent of molecular work, which finds them to be placed not in this particular family or genus, but in other family altogether. And if it's a new genus altogether, it's a new name is given. So we'll cover that in one of the next slides as well.
Okay.
Yeah. So there's a question by Amarnath
Just
on.
a second. I don't know.
Yeah, Lakshmi. Can I just cover the questions in the chat? Just hang on. Amarnath says, I'm not clear about the difference between vocal learning and mimicry. I'm not, as I mentioned, I'm not going to give that away. It's going to come in the next classes. Okay, so the question on the Jordan Scosa, in case of birds that have a very sparse distribution and limited count, such as the Jordan Scosa, is mapping of the gene beneficial in studying habits? Interesting question. But first we need a sample, right? So yes, museum samples, I'm not really sure as to what exactly it can, but it might be a very far out way of trying to do something by seeing what are the kinds of food it can possibly digest and then state what its diet is. I'm just thinking out aloud. But you know, like even our bodies can do so many different things, but do we do exactly that? You know, it's difficult to say. And also with a small sample size of just one sample, it's probably a very, it's better to study the bird in its natural environment, or even if it's in captivity, to get some information of its life history trait. It's an interesting concept using genes, but probably for a species like this, I'm not sure if it would be the right way to go forward or not in
Um,
terms of resources. Yes, Govind.
I Here's a follow-up question to that. By mapping the gene, we can know which birds might be related to the said bird, as in the case of Jordan's cursor.
Yeah, we
We might
already know
know
that.
we might know its closest relatives, and in turn,
Yeah.
and by knowing its relatives' habits, we can at the very least infer its habits, right?
Sure. Yes. So its closest relatives are in Africa, and people have tried to do it. So there are like I think it's the double-banded courser, or I'm forgetting the names. It's slipping my mind. But yeah, they are all so distinct. It really doesn't give us any information except for that they are cursorial. I think some of them are nocturnal, some of them are diurnal. Yeah, there's nothing that can lead us on to anything about the journals goes on. So, in fact, the two scientists, Bharat Bhushan and Jagannathan, they have actually spent hardcore time in the field and they have collected a lot of valuable information. So, that's probably a better baseline information. Yes, of course, in addition to other groups, but the fact that there is no other species of this particular genus in India makes it, yeah, a little bit difficult to extrapolate information from African Rhinoptilus species. Yeah. Okay, I will go to the next question. Okay, so here we have a question on. So these are a bunch of larks from the species, from the genus Alaudala. And what do you actually see in this? What does it tell you? We don't have to go into details. We're just going to breeze over it.
Phenotypic speciation. Phenotypic speciation.
Okay, would you want to explain what is
Like
phenotypic?
one genus gave I would one family of finches gave birth to literally split into many other finch species based on requirements of their habitats, their food habits, and the other
Correct.
external factors. One typical species split into many.
Yeah, that is actually that's not the case in this. That is not the term. I'm not going to give out the term because we have a question on that later. Uh, so this is actually a lesser toed lark species. And this is an example of how people used integrative taxonomy to actually split them. So if you can see, the figure on the left shows the phylogenetic tree and also shows their songs, right? So this is a spectrogram, which is a audio visualization of a visual representation of an audio signal, and you can see some similarities in songs of birds that are closer to each other taxonomically. And what this paper did is that they use various different techniques, right? They use cytochrome B. SITP is one of the genes. Stacey multilocus is, we need not get into details, but it is also a genetic methodology. They use morphology, song, and bioclimatic habitats. So basically, what the triangles and stars tell us is that the shaded black symbols show strong support, the gray symbols show weak support, and the unfilled symbols show no support, right? So it took so many different aspects for them to try and classify them into different species, right? So you have Alordella hini, Alordella rufescens, Alordella raital, Alordella chilensis, right? So there are, and then you have like some subspecies for the chilensis. So this is just an example showing integrative taxonomy and why it is important in delineating species that we find are very similar. As you can see, the birds look very similar, but of course there are fine scale morphological probably changes. And if you have noticed, even warbler species that come to India, they all look like tiny and brown and have like a patch above the a brow patch above the eye, but sometimes their songs just give them away. So you have to be very attentive of how they sound, like the green and the greenish warbler, they sound very distinct. So it just shows the importance of including different characteristics. Yeah. Okay. Just go to the next.
I didn't really hear the first part. Uh,
Yeah.
how are how are the larks explained in the diagram? I didn't hear that part. The first.
How are they explained in the diagram? So basically, so this is phylogenetically mapping them into different species, right? If you see that they are all belonging to the same genus, but it was a complex. They were all clubbed under one species, But now, because of integrative taxonomic approach that uses cytochrome B, morphology, other genetic methods like Stacy multilocus, morphology, song, and bioclimatic habitat, they were able to split this into 4 distinct species. Yeah.
What is the figure on the left? The frequency
Oh,
part.
yeah. So it is just a representation of the song. Yeah. So if you can see, like Heaney and Rufensis, the first two, the red and green, they have songs that are very similar to each other. Of course, you can't see the spectrograms really clearly, but you can see that they are really long notes that rapidly occur in succession, whereas the chilensis have really short songs comparatively, right? So most of the birds have particular vocal signatures that helps them helps
So
you
the
identify them.
songs are used to in differentiating.
Yes, songs are used, but not just songs. Songs along with other features. So you,
That's sonogram, Govind. That's a sonogram, which is a visual
yeah, Lakshmi, I think your voice is breaking.
representation of a sound. Ma'am said, I guess that's what he must get.
Oh, is it that part? The
No,
spectrogram is
ma'am,
what?
he saw the terminology first part which you said. Yeah, sonogram, spectrogram, sorry, spectrogram, that word he
Okay. Oh, I
missed
see.
out. Wanted to know what's that waves
Oh,
form that. That's a visual representation of sound.
yeah. Uh, Okay, let's just move ahead. What is the difference between homology and homoplasy? What is the difference? Give some examples. This is an easy one.
Homology means the similarity, how the origin is there of the species, or how the evolution has that do not same origin, though the species are same, it differs.
Right, right. Homology have the same origin, but homoplasy don't have the same origin. Can someone give me some examples, maybe? Yeah, shared derived characteristics. That's correct. Rusbe. Okay, hummingbirds and sunbirds, which is homology or homoplasy, and what feature?
Toucans and hornbills, ma'am.
Yeah, what feature?
Yeah, long bills.
Hornbills are homoplasy, ma'am.
Yeah, yeah, the bills. Yeah. So when you mention homology or homoplasy, give me the feature first. Yeah, I think most of you have an idea of this. Okay.
Homology would be divergent evolution, I suppose, and the other would be convergent, or as a result of it.
Yes, homoplasy could be convergent evolution where you have similar characteristics forming due to various different factors of habitat or adaptation. Yes, that is a possibility. Uh, right, so I'm just going to go to the next question. Has the slide changed? Yeah. Okay, so this is going closer to home, showing the importance of molecular methods in taxonomy in the Shola Sky Islands. So, does anyone know anything about this?
Ma'am, can you repeat it, ma'am? I lost you.
This
Can you
is
repeat the question?
this study shows the importance of molecular methods in taxonomy, and it is a study from the Shola Sky Islands. So, could someone tell me anything about what is shown on the
V.V.
map?
Robinson. Yeah, V.V. Robin sir had started a research based on the local distribution of white-bellied chorokili, which where there were two groups were studying. One based on the local song variations in the particular locality, and the other one was in a widespread area, and they found out that based on the songs and the habitats, they could differentiate between different species of the same solakili, and where once it was like Sholakilis were said as short wings, now they have their own family, and they were assigned their own family and called Sholakilis. Before that, they were called as short wings.
Yeah. Yeah, so they, as I think it was Sachin who was mentioning undergoing genus names. So it was first in Brachyopteryx, then it went to Myomela, and then it's now Sholicola. So Sholicola is the genus. So these are the blue birds that you see on the right of this graph, and on the left you actually have the chilapins, right? So you have the Montesincla genus, which was also discovered by Dr. Robin and team due to genetic methods. Shaman says Sholas Islands, highest peaks, grounds where isolated population evolved to speciation. Yeah, so that's interesting. So what are the Shola Sky Islands? Shola Sky Islands are high elevation cloud montane forests that are found 1400 meters above sea level in the Western Ghats. They consist of a matrix of Shola grassland and Shola forest. And the two species that are found out here are Shola forest endemic species, which means that they are found only in the Shola forest. And the shortwing with the Sholakili is an understory bird, which means that it is found only in the understory. And the chilapins are, well, they are ground dwelling birds, but they can also go higher up in the canopy. So this particular study used molecular methods along with song and plumage data to show diversification of multiple different species in the different sky islands. So you have four groups of sky islands that are separated by various different gaps. Mainly, you have the Palghat gap between B and C, and the Shenkota gap between C and D. So there are different species of laughing thrush on the mountain between the gaps, as well as Sholakidi between these ancient geographic barriers. Okay, so next question. The family OTD forms comprise of which of the following birds? Are they bustards and floricans? Are they lapwings, plovers, and sandpipers? Flycatchers, chats, robins, shearwaters, petrels, storm petrels, or owls and owlets? Okay. Okay, everyone for A. Okay, cool. So everyone knows this. What about lapwings, plovers, and sandpipers? Which family do they belong to? Any idea? Yeah, Kerad that's right. What about the flycatchers, chats, and robins? Animalia. Right, order. Passeriforms, yes, sure. Within passeriforms, yeah, Musicapitae, yeah, that's correct. What about Musicapitae is old world flycatchers. Yeah. What about the other birds? Shearwaters, petrels, storm petrel. Why are they so abundant? Okay. Anyone would like to take this? Why are passeriforms so abundant?
Maybe due to better adaptation habitat,
Due to better, sorry,
the
adaptations?
changing habitat and adaptations to the changing, ever-changing habitat. Speciation, successful
Right. Yeah, yeah.
We were just,
Yeah, Sachin, sorry, I didn't hear you.
is it because they feed on the grains which may be abundant in open lands or something?
Sure. Food types, actually not just grains. You have insectivorous as well as granivorous passeriforms. So they have a very wide range of habits. Someone mentioned diversification due to various different niche type available and success after speciation. So yeah, that is why they are so abundant. And you have passeriforms ranging from the tropics to the temperate regions. Um, yeah, that's a good question, Aditya. You could also put it on the discussion forum. Pansarines also have insectivorous, yes. Proceleraridae, yes, also, yes, that is correct for the shearwaters, petrels. And what about owls and owlets? Etymology of each of these options, I am not really sure. I don't want to give you, yeah, stringy forms, that is true. I am not sure of where, but it's probably because of the type of bird that they are, like OTD forms are grassland specific birds. I'm not sure of the etymology, but yeah, you could, if anyone wants to Google and um, talk about it, please do feel free. Yeah, stringy forms for owls and owlets. Okay, so well, we have the answer out there. Which fossil is popularly known as a missing link between birds and reptiles? And where was it first discovered? And describe a few features of this. Otos means ears. Does it have anything to do with ears? I actually am not sure. I'm actually not sure. Yeah, there's a whole bunch of archaeopteryx coming right in. Passerines start as generalists and diversify. I am also not sure about that as to what were the original passerines. China, yeah, Germany, there we have it. That's the right answer. It was Germany in Bavaria, not Africa. Had a bill with teeth indicating it was an intermediate form. Yes. Any other features of Archaeopteryx? Expanded brain case, tooth mandible, long bony tail. Yes.
claws on the wings?
Claws in the wings, yes.
The collarbone, archaeology for it, but having the presence of collarbone,
Uh-huh.
They had feathers and hollow bones.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Any other features? Fulcrum, okay. Yeah. Feathers made of keratin both in birds and archaeopteryx. Feathered body, yes. So these missing links are really important, right? In doing any phylogenetic studies, because we know that birds are a monophyletic group that have radiated out from reptiles. Hooked forewings. Did it have a carina? I am actually not sure if it had a carina or not. I could look it up. Sinosauropteryx. No idea about that either. I can't really find anything about the carina for the Archaeopteryx. I'm not sure, Govind. If you have any information about it, please feel free to share it with us.
Well, you mentioned missing links between birds and reptiles. Certain, I'm mentioning feathered dinosaurs, which
Could possibly also. So you're saying, is this another
resembled birds.
potential missing link?
I'm not saying missing link, but I'm saying they resemble birds enough to draw the connection.
I see, I see. Okay. Yeah, I've actually not uh,
Micro,
heard of this.
Microraptor and Sinosauropteryx were found in the forests of China.
I see. That's interesting. So they were also feathered, right?
Microraptor is particularly famous because it had four wings. That is
Oh, four wings. Okay.
for wings on its arms. It
Okay.
had wings on both its arms and its feet, and it could glide
Oh, I see, I see. Okay. That's interesting.
glide between the trees.
I see. Kind of like flying squirrels or something. Since birds are so diverse, is it not possible that many dinosaur predecessor species could have evolved into birds worldwide? Are you talking about before the dinosaur era? I am not really sure. They must have been flying something flying. I'm not sure. It all started from somewhere. Well, the usual thing is everything started from the water. So, water to land to flight. But I think there's a lot of debate as to what came first and how what came. Wouldn't that make birds? Yeah, birds as a group, yes, that would make it paraphyletic. We know that they are monophyletic, but they might have been flying organisms, probably not birds, as of the class aves. Yeah. But yeah, do feel free to post this on the discussion forum, and perhaps, yeah, Dr. Raja could take this up for you. Or we could cover it in like the next session as well, if I get some uh, extra information. What is monophyletic and what is paraphyletic? Would someone like to take this? Anyone wants to explain?
Could I explain?
Sure,
It
sure, go
is
ahead.
when paraphyletic is when there's at least one species that is not of a clade. It does not include all the descendants from a common ancestor.
That is paraphyletic or monophyletic?
Paraphyletic.
Right, okay. And monophyletic?
So when all the descendants are part of the same clade and they all have a common ancestor and none of them are excluded.
Right, yeah, that's correct. Yeah, Govind, do you want to add anything to
Well,
this? Yeah.
well, I'm just mentioning that paraphyletic isn't a trait of organisms themselves, and it's just a mistake we make, a lack of knowledge on our part.
Why is that?
But paraphyletic, the point of phylogeneity is to it's to group organisms based on their hereditary and their past and their ancestors. And
Mhm.
paraphyletic organism, a paraphyletic group indicate that a group of organisms, a clade, has been grouped together incorrectly, right? So
Uh,
paraphyletic, it doesn't.
it's not incorrect, but yeah, it's excluding whatever falls in monophyly. Yeah, so I don't think we can get to decide as to what is correct or incorrect, but paraphyly is important when you do other studies. I mean, it's I can't exactly pinpoint as to what, but yeah. It doesn't contain all the
In a
descendants
sense, I
in.
think Govind,
Yeah, go ahead.
you often have some that's mono. So in that sense, you're always aiming to have monophily, and if there is a paraphyly,
It's named
that's
as
a
that.
problem.
Well, yeah. Yeah, sure. Okay, I'm gonna go to the next question. So which species chicks use specially designed claws to climb up trees? Is it the spot-billed duck? Is it the black kite? Is it the Wurzen? Is it the
Hodgson,
hornbill?
Hodgson, Hodgson. They have claws.
It's also called the stink bird.
Hodgson.
Yeah, very weird birds, right? The Wurzen. Yeah,
They
why
also
they?
jump into water to escape, right?
Right. Yeah. So that's why they need to have claws to climb up the trees. So yes, as you mentioned, it is also known as the stink bird because it releases a very foul-smelling, um, what do you say, excretion when it is, yeah, it's caused by the food that is fermented in the digestive system. Yeah, it's a very odd-looking bird as well. I don't have a photo out here, but if you if you happen to see the Hodgson or Google it, you will see. And it's also the only species in its order, so that makes it even more unique. Yeah, it's found in South America and it's quite widespread in South America. I mean, not all over South America, but yeah, northern South America. All right, shall we go to the next question? Okay, so which was a model species used in studying wing-assisted running in birds? Was it the ostrich? Was it a roadrunner? Was it the chukar partridge? Or was it the Indian corsair?
partridge.
Sorry, Sachin.
I said sugar partridge, which was
Ma'am, the
studied to
videos.
understand that.
Right, right. Okay, so one option for the choker partridge. Anybody else?
Could you repeat the question? Yeah, that's the video was stuck then.
Oops, sorry. Which model species used which was used in studying wing-assisted running in birds?
Roadrunner.
Okay, one one answer for roadrunner, one answer for choker partridge. Any other answers? No one? Come on, this was in the lectures.
I just got that one. Chuka Patrick, ma'am. I changed my answer. I just remembered it as Chuka Patrick.
Right. So it was actually the choker partridge which was studied by Dr. Ken Dayal. Okay, so I'm gonna go to the next. Okay, so here we have a figure alongside that shows different species of honey creepers, right? Can someone now comment or talk about this?
It's adaptive radiation and
Yeah.
resource partitioning.
Yes, correct. Some more details. What is adaptive radiation? Could you give me some more
Adaptive
examples?
adaptive radiation is when one or few species one or few origin species evolve and radiate into different species and diversify to fit
Mm-hmm.
different niches, different open niches. And
Right.
another example would be the Galapagos finches or the birds in Malagasy.
Right. The Vangas.
And, and it's also another force at work here would be resource partitioning when the species deliberately diversifies and adopts different niches in order to not compete with each other.
Right. Right. So yeah, thanks, Govin. So that's correct. So the term we are looking at right now describing the alongside figure is adaptive radiation indeed. And so you can break this down into two parts, adaptive and radiation. And as Govind already mentioned, uh, there has been a rapid diversification of this particular ancestor of this bird into various different species because of available niches, right? So there are various habitat niches that are available. So you have it is split into nectarivorous species, and then you have like the insectivorous or probing species, and then you have the ones that are granivorous. So if you can see, their beaks are highly diversified, and not just their beaks, it's the entire like morphology, the colors, the plumage. There are so many different factors that are acting on this, and it is adaptive because it has evolved in such a way that it has become beneficial for the bird itself, right? And so as you can see the figure below, it shows that all these species are radiating out from one particular common ancestor, right? And So these are the Hawaiian honey creepers. And in fact, these birds are even of different sizes, right? Some of them are small, like the body size itself is highly variable. So yeah, anybody else would like to add something to this, or adaptive radiation in general?
Well, this means the species doesn't compete with each other.
Yeah, they don't. Well, they might be like certain species that do compete with each other, but probably not of the same radiation. So they might, if I am not sure of what are the bird species in Hawaii, but if there are other nectivorous birds, they might compete with these nectivorous birds. But within this, I think there are ones that take nectar from the base of the flower, some that are probing and take it from the top of the flower. So within this itself, there is quite a bit of specialization from where nectar is taken. And I think in the seed crushing, you can see the bills are of two different sizes. So just like the Galapagos finches, where you have I think it is small, medium, large build. They use or consume seeds of various different sizes because their beaks are super specialized to eating big seeds, medium sized seeds, or small seeds. Yeah.
So the need to not compete with each other is the reason that drove this radiation, right? One of the
Uh,
reasons.
yeah. So to find new niches, I would say to find new niches. So there might have been birds with various different sizes of beaks, but based on selection, only some of them got selected for. So if we take the seed crushers, they might have been like small, medium, large, or whatever. And then based on the availability of food resources, only the small and medium ones got selected for, and the small ones died out.
Ma'am, are there any other examples apart from Darwin's finches and this honey creepers, ma'am, which shows successful adaptive radiation?
Yeah, I think there are plenty of adaptive radiation examples in birds. In other, someone had mentioned in Madagascar, so there is adaptive radiation of birds. I think it's the Vanga family in adaptive radiation in Madagascar.
Ma'am, and do they also show any cross speciation, ma'am, like the probing insects, probing species getting crossbred with nectariforms like that? Like these speciations, will
I
they
don't
crossbreed also?
so they are completely different species, and the definition of a different species is that they are probably not able, they are reproductively isolated from each other, and there might be several different factors that prevent them from interbreeding. Like two different species, though they have radiated from the same common ancestor, they might have different ways for sexual selection. So their songs might be completely different. And what is used for mate attraction? You have displays like vocal displays or visual displays or plumage or any of these factors. So if the songs don't match, there seem to be no reason for a female of one species to choose a male of another species. Yeah, does that make sense?
Yeah, ma'am, I got it, ma'am.
Yeah. So you have secondary
I
sexual
have a
differentials. Yeah.
I have a similar question to what Lakshmi asked, but it's more specific to India. Whether is there any example of
I
adult radiation in India?
I am not I am not aware. I don't think so. If there are any Indian species that show such. I'm not sure apart from birds as well if there is any other taxa. So yeah. But if you do find something, I will also look. I'll just make a note of it. But I
What, ma'am, what about sunbirds, ma'am? Sunbirds and the other stuff, no, ma'am. those which belong to flower pickers, spider hunters, such stuff.
I am not sure if that is an example of adaptive radiation, but yeah, maybe we could just look up and discuss that next time. Yeah, I think it's something that we could all check up. Okay, so I'm going to go to the next question. Okay, so an ideal classification system is one that pulls together organisms that possesses similar morphologies, conforms to traditional lenient taxonomic practices, reflects evolutionary history, or correlates to what Charles Darwin used in his classification of species.
C, ma'am, reflects evolutionary history properly.
Okay,
And in fact, A and C both. A and C both, I would guess.
okay, if you have to choose only one.
Then C, ma'am.
Okay,
It
okay,
has to have a proper history so that we can come to know the lineage of the person.
right. So one answer for C. Anyone else?
I guess all classifications have their own utility
Ma'am,
and for different purposes
ma'am,
can be applied. But in general,
wouldn't
I would support C.
the ideal classification system be based on what we desire at the moment?
Yeah, I too
Because
thought
after
so. I thought so, but now the question was asked and there was the four answers given, so we had to choose. I too thought that the ideal is very subjective. At that moment, what we were looking for, we would be pinning that as an ideal thing. But that's not the question here, right? We have need to answer something out of that four row.
Yeah. That's that's correct, Lakshmi. So yeah, the most suitable answer I think out here would be reflects evolutionary history, right? Because evolutionary history would try and capture everything, and it can't be similar morphologies. Also, reflects evolutionary history would link it to genomic data, which is usually currently the first step in delineating species. And of course, with integrative taxonomy, we have to include other features as well to add on to this. Right. So I'm gonna go. Okay. So here we have two example phylogenies, and could you use the two figures to explain the terms used to describe derived and ancestral traits? So we have derived traits in the gray circles and the ancestral traits in derived traits in the black circles and ancestral traits in the gray circles. So could you tell me what are the terms used to define A, B and C?
C is nodes. B and A are clades.
Hmm. Okay, actually C is not well, C is no, it's the entire group. I don't know if there's a marker that is 1 second. Okay, so this is a node. But C
That's what I meant, ma'am.
is,
That's
yeah,
what I meant. Oh, the
yeah,
whole thing you asked.
yeah,
Okay,
the
okay.
whole thing. So we are talking about derived and ancestral traits. So these two, there is a term for these two. What is that term?
synapomorphy,
What omorphy? Because they sound very similar.
synapo-
Synapomorphy.
Synapomorphy. Actually, synapomorphy is C, right? So could you describe what is synapomorphy?
um,
They have derived the traits from those two species, ma'am.
Right.
the
So you have
derived traits of species, the derived traits of species share, ma'am.
right, correct. So it's so the first term is actually apomorphy. So A shows apomorphy. Does anyone know what is apomorphy?
I think that it was synonymous with synapomorphy.
No. So apomorphy is a subset of synapomorphy. It basically just means a new trait that is derived from an ancestral trait, right? So if you go down the tree, you can see this is the ancestral trait, and suddenly we have two derived traits. So this is apomorphy. But when it is shared by the common ancestor at the bottom, these two have received the derived trait from this common ancestor. It is called synapomorphy. And what is B? What's happening here? You have
Simpliciomorphy.
Symptomomorphy.
Simpliciomorphy.
yeah, it's
Yeah,
pleisomorphy where
symptomomorphy.
yeah, pleisomorphy only, where you have the ancestral trait that is inherited by the other species, right? So it's still the ancestral trait. Actually, let me try and get you a question in the next lessons or during like one of the recaps. It actually uses examples. So we have different types of traits, but I think yeah, you have gotten the gist of this. Yes, Ruzbe.
I'm slightly confused about
Which one?
apomorphy actually, because there is new trait, and I understand that it differs apomorphy.
I'm sorry, I
So
can't
I
hear you
understand it's also
clearly.
C because there is a common sister, but then
Okay, you understand, you don't understand apomorphy?
audible now.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes, without a common ancestor. So I can understand that C has a node, an ancestor, and there's a battery. But how does this evolution happen in A when there is no node showing the ancestor?
Right, right. So yeah, so that's a great question. And how do you think such things can happen, right? When the ancestral trait is something else, but the derived trait is something totally different. How does that happen?
Maybe external forces, like
External
during the
forces,
KT period, there was this
okay, external
as
forces that
external
lead to
forces like. Sorry, ma'am. I'm sorry,
external
ma'am.
forces that lead to I've somehow lost the mouse on my laptop, but yeah. External forces that lead to
Two species, ma'am.
Mutations, probably.
sorry,
Mutation.
yeah, yeah, go ahead. B,
Natural
sorry.
selection.
Natural selection, okay. Yeah, but what is causing this new trait to form? You're all going on the right track, but I'm looking for a particular
Mutation,
one.
ma'am. Gene mutation.
Mutation,
Mutation, ma'am.
right? So mutation, right?
Gene mutation.
Pressure.
Sorry.
Gene mutation, ma'am. I said mutation.
Yeah, yeah, mutation. Yeah. So basically, alteration of
No, I got it.
genes. Yes, Rusbe?
No, I was saying ecological pressure, but I get what you're trying to say. It's gene mutation.
Yes, yes. So all these ecological pressures, different natural calamities, or any unforeseen factors can lead to mutations. And these, so mutations are constantly happening, right? So you have mutations happening in places in the genome that are useful and that are not useful. All right, they don't make any difference. But when it affects a part of the, when it occurs in a part of the gene that is responsible for something else, you tend to have a different trait, right? So that's how you have ancestral and different derived traits, right? I have lost my mouse, so I don't know how to end it. Somebody please help me. Uh, okay, so I'm gonna go to the next question somehow with my invisible mouse. Okay, finally. Okay. Okay, so choose the correct order for taxonomic classification. This is an easy one.
Ma'am, D.
D. Okay.
Sorry. Sorry. Yeah. Class, order, genus, family. No. Sorry. Family, genus, species, subspecies, ma'am. Yeah, ma'am. Order, class, family, genus, species, subspecies.
Okay. A. Any more answers?
B.
B. Okay.
Because Animalia is the order, Aves is the class, right? And then comes the family, and then comes the genus, species, and subspecies, no, ma'am.
I'm going to leave this open for debate. Maybe some more answers. So we have one for A, one for B.
It's B.
B. I think we have another.
Now I'm confused, ma'am. A or B.
It's okay, Lakshmi. It's okay to have your own opinion. Yeah, that's
It's
fine.
B.
It's B. Okay. All right. Yeah. So the right answer is actually B. So you have class, order, family, genus, species, subspecies. Yeah. Okay. So does anyone know what is a nominate subspecies? Has anyone heard of this term, nominate subspecies?
We nominate a group as a subspecies.
It's the
So
subspecies
ideal
that has
subspecies, an ideal subspecies which shows all the traits of the particular family, like the star species of that, to say
and
that identifying subspecies.
it has the same name as the species. So it's like Panthera tigris, and that's the nominate of the Panthera tigris.
Okay, yeah, so now we're getting to something. So that is correct. So the species name is actually repeated as a subspecies, and that is known as the nominate subspecies. Let me just have an example, right? So here we have, oops, why it keeps switching between. So yeah, you have Turdus similimus, which is the nominate subspecies for the blackbird, so the Nilgiri blackbird, and then you have the black-capped blackbird, which is Turdus similimus nigropelius, right? So it's a different subspecies as of right now, and you can see that they are different in their plumage morphology as well. The Turdus similimus is totally black, whereas the Turdus similimus nigropelius is has a black cap, right? So yeah.
And why does they have the same name, like similar?
So it's yeah. So as Shravan mentioned, it was first discovered. So they just have the same species named as the subspecies. Okay. Okay, now that we've done with all the questions for today, I wanted to end with an image of the Great Backyard Bird Count, which is happening actually this month between the 7th to the 20th of Feb. You can do this independently as well as come together in groups and do this. And I don't know if you have participated in this before, but it happens all over the world. And the GBBC is hosted by Bird Count India in India, and all over the world between these 4 days. People just go out, make checklists all throughout the day, and if you have like groups of particular universities or areas, everyone tries, and there is like some healthy competition between different areas. So if you go to the GBBC high counts, you would see certain institutes always coming up in the top counts. So I would encourage all of you to what got discontinued. GBBC, it's still ongoing. Uh, was this regarding the type strain or GBBC? I'm not sure. Okay, but yes, I do encourage all of you to join the GBBC. Please go on to the website and register and actively participate. Yeah, and yeah, are they, if any, schedule from ICER? ISOs all over India have different schedules. It's probably great to contact the birding club heads of any of the ISOs, whichever you are a part of. And the birding club, if there is a birding club or a birding society or even a natural nature club society, they might make a profile and you can get linked to that.
Where is this recording found, ma'am?
Which one?
This particular presentation,
Oh,
presentation,
yeah.
where is this?
So we'll actually share a spreadsheet with you. So if you go to like the YouTube channels, like my name is Chiti Arvind. If you just do Chiti Arvind, Isar Tirupati, I'll be uploading this. So this will be there. And if you go to Jobin Varghese, Isar Tirupati or something like that, you'll hit upon the links for his tutorials as well. We actually have an Excel sheet where we enter all these details and that will be shared via NPTEL, or we can just post it on the discussion forum if it's not yet there. Yeah.
So same link was there for the past year, I mean.
Sorry?
Discussion forum option is better, ma'am.
Okay, I'll post it on the
No, I
discussion.
said, would the same YouTube channel also have recordings from the past sessions, for the past years?
Actually, I'm not sure. I haven't TA'd for this course last year, but they might be so for I TA'd for a different course, and I know my recordings are there on my channel, but I'm not sure about the NPTEL channel.
If you go to NPTEL, this is Sachin Kasdar. If you go to NPTEL's YouTube channel, you see last year's recordings for all the courses all the weeks that has happened, including the case studies. And as I have seen, till I think week 2 or 3, they are same.
Okay.
So
Sachin, that's just what I
some
was
might
asking.
vary. Yeah, if you want, I can send you the link.
That would help, sir.
Okay, so I will send a link of the Excel sheet which has the links of the videos, this particular tutorial video, and the um, presentation. Exam pattern, it should probably be objective and subjective. I am not sure, but yeah, I think that will be revealed later. I would say don't
What?
bother or be hung up about this. It's good to go through everything and be prepared for everything. And yeah, I think just enjoy the course as it goes. But yeah, just don't focus on
What
the
would
exams.
the questions be like, ma'am?
I'm not really sure. So this is the first time I'm also TAing for this. So I can ask the faculty and let you know. But I'm guessing it should be a mix of both. But yeah, some courses only have MCQs and some questions only have have both MCQs as well as subjective. So maybe this will.
Sorry to interrupt. Ma'am, Sohail sir actually replied to this question.
Okay.
Somebody had posted in the discussion forum, and Sohail sir had actually replied that they have both MCQs, mostly MCQs, 70% MCQs, and 30% will be subjective. You need to explain something
All
like
right.
that.
All right. Yeah. Thanks, Lakshmi. So there you go, Arvind. It's a mix of both. All right. Any more questions?
No, as the course was they just want to know that if you know the basics
Sorry.
fundamentals correct.
Sorry.
I think I should have. ma'am, sir said that the objective questions will be like my MCQs, and the subjective ones will be like
I think I'm losing you. I don't know if it is
supposed to
my
be like, there is no
or
need to go in detail, in
okay.
depth, it seems.
Okay, okay. All right, sure. Sure. Yeah, don't worry about the exam. It's you've got a couple of weeks more till the exam. But yeah, try and learn as much as you can as the course progresses. Cool. Uh, all right,
Hi,
everyone.
this
Yeah,
is just a quick question.
yeah.
Yeah, so the assignments that are there, are they supposed to be solved on the basis of the classes for that topic, or are we supposed to go through the entire reading material to in order to solve the assignments?
I'm not sure what the assignments are based out of, but if you can answer them with just going through the lectures, great. I'm not sure if, I think I would say give it a go, right? Give it a go, watch the videos, give it a go, and then, yeah, try.
Okay, the other question is that
Yes, ma'am, I
problem
found,
solving
ma'am,
questions
Hang
are
on,
there.
Lakshmi, one second.
I found
Yeah, let Mark finish. Yeah.
Yeah, just want to ask where can we view these problem solving sessions, especially the ones that we've missed?
Yeah, so we have, so Jobin and me are the two TAs for this course. The problem solving questions will be shared on an Excel sheet. It will have the links as well as the links to the presentations. So the video links as well as the presentation links. We'll share it on the discussion forum or via NPTEL.
All right, thank you, thank
Yeah,
you.
no problem. Yeah, Lakshmi.
I found out like when I was doing the assignments, yeah, until like you can keep redoing it until you learn it. One thing I found. Another one thing, it was all in general purposes. Like it included both the videos and also the resources they gave, and quite a few of them were general in common questions. In
Okay.
general questions.
Yeah.
So I found that giving it a go was actually much more fun, to put into know what we know, where we stand, and how much we know.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. So since you can repeat it, yeah, just give it a go. Don't worry too much about exams and assignments. Yeah. So Mark has given an interesting way to remember the classification numbers, classification orders. We saw ask and discussions we held on Zoom. Zoom, unfortunately, we can't unless we have a paid subscription. We don't have for more than 1 hour or 40 minutes or something. So we'll have to rejoin the link. So yeah, sorry, my institute uh, uh, uses Gmail. Gmail. Yeah. Yes, Ruzbe?
I had a question about the suggested or the extra reading.
Mm-hmm.
I noticed that there are in the list there are many links that go directly to the resource and you can read it, but there are also links
Yeah.
to subscription access. I
Correct.
don't know if that's something I'm facing.
Yeah, I think Lakshmi has
So
also brought
Yeah.
this up.
it
Yeah, a lot of people
was
brought
it
it up.
was a question. Yeah, even I got this question with to Tobin, right? Sorry, I missed the name.
Okay.
Yeah.
So he said that there are ways to get those resources or the papers, but kind of off the record thing. So
Yeah. I
we
didn't
Okay.
might
want to
have to
have it
find a
recorded,
way,
but
alternate way
sure.
to.
Please do those alternate methods, especially if they are older papers, you can get it on certain platforms that
Okay.
please.
Okay.
But
Yeah.
I mean, other thing that he or sir also mentioned is that those are some extra or reference materials, so may not be needed for the exams or the assignments. It will be like having done the
Yeah.
training on
Again, I
some
would
topic
stress,
or
yeah, don't worry about the exams. If you want to read something, please do go ahead
in
and read it.
detail.
Yeah. All right, then we will meet next week on Tuesday. And thank you all for joining and actively participating. Yes, there is a question. Oops. No, not anymore. Is there a question? Okay, no question. All right. Yeah. Thanks everyone for joining, and catch you next week on Tuesday.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.